Spike Spiegel was my first introduction to Jeet Kune. That and Def Jam Fight for New York. I hadn't watched a Bruce Lee movie until after I started training. Spike's fighting style was enamoring. His kicks were quick, his personality cool. I didn't like that he smoked, but this isn't a love letter to Spike Spiegel. This is about his martial arts.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Welcome to the channel. My name is Ed. We regularly take deep dives into different types of anime fighting styles, whether I try to practice them myself or we break it down move by move and see what's reality and what's fantasy. Today we're taking a deep dive into Spike Spiegel's martial arts. For those unaware, Cowboy Bebop, the show of which Spike is the main protagonist of, was an anime made in 1998 by Sunrise Entertainment and premiered for North American audiences in 2001 on Cartoon Network's Adult Swim. Cowboy Bebop was a serious anime with some comedic themes. When making the show, several thought it was going to be too adult or too pretentious, but that's exactly what Shinichiro Watanabe wanted in his anime serialization directorial debut. Watanabe would take this anime and hit on some serious themes. From a female truck driver whose husband was an infamous bounty hunter, to an alien story with a mutant living inside the fridge, drug dealing, etc. It also had some of the darkest character backstories. Faye Valentine, a 77-year-old gambling addict who was cryogenically frozen and had amnesia. Jeet, a former police officer for the ISSP, or Intra-Solar System Police, say that 10 times fast, left the department due to corruption and, of course, heartbreak. And Spike, our main protagonist, and his devastating backstory, with Julia and Vicious having an artificial eye that could only see the future, and his other eye which could only see the past. And we also had Ed. Who can forget Ed? A brilliant hacker, a prodigy who had hijinks with their corgi sidekick, Ein. These 4 people and 1 dog made up the crew of the Bebop. Spike Spiegel's fighting style was always attributed as Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's martial art. While it's never explicitly said, it is heavily influenced by it, and you can tell in episode 8, Waltz for Venus, that has heavy undertones of Bruce Lee's water analogy. Spike tries to teach Rocco, a Venusian kid on the run from the mob, who stole a valuable plant with a cure to his sister's illness, which is apparently caused by living on Venus. Funnily enough, Spike doesn't really teach him anything specific. He just does an Aikido-esque ukemi throw thing, which Rocco is able to replicate by episode's end. The water analogy is a powerful allegory for Jeet Kune Do. The famous quote, as said by Bruce Lee in the show Longstreet and on the famous Pierre Berton interview, this is highlighted in this episode instead of any of Jeet Kune Do's kicks, traps, straight lead, or other Jeet Kune Do moves.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water.
It's not about strength or power. You gotta be fluid.
Huh?
You have to be like water.
Be water, my friend.
Now, a quote is not enough to define Jeet Kune Do. While being fluid is very important, let's quickly talk about what Jeet Kune Do actually is. As a 3rd-generation Jeet Kune Do instructor, my real self will demonstrate some of the moves we're talking about. Jeet Kune Do is Bruce Lee's personal expression of the martial art. Jeet Kune Do is primarily made up of Wing Chun, boxing, and fencing, with a few other things dabbled in. What makes Jeet Kune Do unique is not necessarily what techniques, but how the techniques are applied, when they are applied, and to what targets. We have the finger jab, for example, that could go to the eyes or the throat. We have a side kick that could go to the knees or to the groin. We have a front kick that could go to the groin or to the chin. All of these strikes are to vital areas, and this is by design. Bruce Lee wanted a martial art that would be simple and effective. And what better way to be effective than kicking somebody's knee in and poking him in the eye, at least for self-defense. Now let's take a look at Spike Spiegel's actual fights and see if we notice any parallels to real Jeet Kune Do. The first fight we'll look at is Spike versus Asimov. Here we see Spike really play into his superior timing and evasion, dodging several punches with impressive head movement.
Head movement! Head movement! Head movement! Head movement!
Countering Asimov's punches, Spike returns 2 round kicks with the same leg, one to the midsection and the other to the head. Then a spinning back kick to knock Asimov away. Spike is definitely using his athleticism and timing to tire Asimov out, who is under the influence of a drug he's selling. Here we notice the first real allusion to Jeet Kune, with Spike's hand position and his bouncing footwork. He fires into a boxing combination with his right hand landing and then a rolling thunder kick. Like, why? Like, I guess it's cool, but seriously, there's a ton of better kicks one could throw here. Anywho, from here, Spike planks up on the table and inverts to throw a hook kick to Asimov's ribs. Then we see more evasiveness from Spike than a standard 1-2 with palm strikes. This concludes our first fight with Spike Spiegel in hand-to-hand. Overall, we see athleticism, timing, distance all play a part in Spike's success, but nothing really designates it as true Jeet Kune. Now we see his hands in the on-guard position, and we see his bouncing footwork, but there are no exclusive Jeet Kune techniques shown in this fight. Next, let's look at Spike versus Pierrot Lefu. Now I wanted to save this fight for last, but honestly Vincent versus Spike is going to hold that honor, so hold out for that. But this fight is unique in that Lefu doesn't follow the rules of physics, so fighting him is incredibly difficult as he can float and possesses incredible reflexes, strength, and speed. Lefu pretty much makes traditional hand-to-hand fighting useless, and it goes in line with Bruce Lee's Game of Death. In Game of Death, Bruce's character fights his way to the top level of the pagoda, each level fighting a different kind of martial artist, a Hapkido guy, a Kempo/Kali guy, and at the top, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who uses no way as way. Lefu and Kareem's character share this trait, where they use whatever works. It's just fighting, and Bruce's and Spike's character have to use their weaknesses against them. Kareem's character is light sensitive, and Lefu is scared of cats. The way the first fight between these two goes down, it starts out as a shootout, then Lefu quickly closes the distance. Spike, in orthodox stance, launches 2 lead round kicks, and then a straight lead/jab that are all blocked or evaded by Lefu. Lefu counters with a hard left hook. Spike, in desperation, tries to shoot Lefu, but is caught in an infinite loop of up kicks to the chin, sending Spike somersaulting in the air. Almost like a fighting game where you juggle your opponents in the corner. Next, let's take a look at Spike versus some casino thugs. Now this is a very simple fight. After getting decked by the bouncers of the casino, he easily defeats them with a side kick and a 12-6 elbow. Come on, Spike, those are definitely illegal.
Shots. Right now, he's blocking them. Yep. He's doing a good job. Big elbow.
Quick glimpses of a back fist, a side kick to the leg, and an elbow to the chest. We're getting some pretty good showcases of what some might call Jeet Kune or non-classical Kung Fu. Another side kick to the head and a jumping spinning hook kick to take out 3 guys at once. Boss Rutan would be proud.
I'm sorry, sir, but I'm gonna break your leg.
He then overpowers like 8 people by shaking them? I don't know. I need to know what stack Spike is on so I can get this superhero strength for myself. Someone call Derek for more plates, more dates.
What's up guys, Derek, moreplates.com.
Next is an amazing display of strength versus technique in Spike versus Ed's dad, Apple Deli. Spike opens this fight with a charging haymaker, which is easily dodged by Apple Deli. Spike cleverly uses this missed overhand and turns it into a back fist uppercut combination. This combo is very close to a JKD kickboxing combinations of an over, upper, over, with a bit of a twist. I dig it. Apple Deli headbutts Spike, sending him reeling back, but Spike quickly recovers back into the Jeet Kune on guard position with the Bruce Lee nose wipe and all. Closing the distance with a jumping hook kick to round kick combo, Apple Deli dodges both with 0 effort. Spike throws a flicking jab and Apple Deli easily blocks it. From there, Spike throws a classic Mon Sao or garbage hand to rear round kick to the head, which Ed's dad, Apple Deli, simply leans back to evade. Spike uses the momentum of this missed round kick to go for a spinning heel kick to the knee. This is where Spike realizes he's in trouble, as this lands flush and gets zero reaction from Apple Deli. Apple Deli finally strikes back with a palm strike to Spike's face, sending him flying. Now we head into the better funded and better choreographed movie. Before this point, the show showcased some Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do-like movements and techniques, but honestly fell short of real Jeet Kune Do. Let's see if the movie makes up for this. First fight up on the movie is Spike versus the Konbini store thugs. After creating a quick distraction with a popper, Spike opens up with a straight kick or jip tech to disarm him. Then a side kick to the knee, then a spinning hook kick to take the guy out. This fight starts to set the tone for the rest of the movie. Now I would like to highlight the fight between Spike and Elektra, but honestly this one is mainly weapons, and while it does show Spike's adaptability and his athleticism, I'm going to skip this one. So definitely check the movie out and you can see this fight in full. Now Spike versus Vincent, now that's another story. There are two main fights I want to discuss here with Vincent. The train scene, then the tower scene. First, let's talk about the train scene. After a shootout where Elektra gets shot, Spike launches into a jumping sidekick. Very Bruce Lee-like. From there, Spike unleashes a cross hook combo to the head, followed by a lead hook to the body, then a powerful cross. Vincent reaches forward and Spike blocks it out of the way and lands a reverse punch to Vincent's body. Again, followed up by a powerful cross. Spike continues his boxing combination on a seemingly defenseless Vincent. From here, he grabs Vincent and moves him to the side and delivers another strong punch to send Vincent backwards. Then, the most Bruce Lee-inspired sidekick in anime to Vincent's face. This fight ends with Spike over Vincent, where Vincent suddenly grabs Spike's torso, apparently grabbing ribs and then just twisting and breaking them. He must really work on his grip stuff. Wonder if he owns any Grip Genie stuff. The last fight on the tower is up next. After both disarming each other, we get right into it. Spike in his best Bruce Lee impression, bouncing around, hands in the on-guard position. Spike bridges the gap with a spinning sidekick and overhand with all the momentum to it. Spike then unleashes a cross hook, back fist combination, palm strikes mixed in and level changes, showing Spike is serious. Vincent counters with the lop sow to the back fist to the ribs, palm strike to the face, very split entry like, and elbow to the ribs, the same side Spike was injured on. Then a punch to the gut, knocking the wind out of Spike. Still reeling with pain, Spike launches to a palm strike to Vincent's face. Seriously, this must be like Armchair Violence's favorite movie. After a jumping straight kick, Spike throws a cross hook crossed spinning back kick / side kick combination. Vincent goes for the classic cymbal punch, which Spike tries to block to no avail. Vincent continues his punching onslaught, landing a brilliant hook to the body. Oh man, Spike's poor ribs and liver. After a brief exchange with Spike appearing to be on the losing end of this fight, we finally get to see some of Spike's trapping skills. With Jong Sao, Boy Pak Sao, Toy Sao, and back fist combinations, ending with a powerful rear hook to the body and overhand. The tide seems to be slowly changing from this point, but this fight still has a lot to go, and I'm only highlighting this part here. Definitely go watch this movie for the full effect to see how good these fights really are. So now let's take a look at Spike's fighting style holistically. So while it is attributed as Jeet Kune Do, Spike really doesn't do Jeet Kune Do. He applies a lot of the concepts of it, and definitely is heavily inspired by Bruce Lee and his movements and philosophy. But that's not enough to make it real Jeet Kune Do. A lot of jumping, spinning kicks, and kicks to the head are mainly for show. His hands appear to be more JKD than his legs, but the hands still lack the straight lead and intercepting qualities. Now keep in mind, this takes place in 2071, almost 100 years after Bruce's death. And now, in just 50 years since his death in 2022, we're already in 3rd and 4th generation students and instructors. There might be up to 6 or 7 generations of Jeet Kune Do instructors in front of Spike, and this could be what Jeet Kune Do looks like in 2071. While Spike's Jeet Kune Do isn't authentic now, it could be in his universe and time. One thing it does do is bring Jeet Kune Do back into the limelight with younger audiences, something that helps keep the art alive despite the anime still being 20 years old. So even if it's movie-ified or TV-ified, that's okay. it still does a good job representing Bruce's martial art, also known as Jeet Kune Do. And if it gets people training, it's alright by me.